so welcome back to my channel. Okay, this is going to be a recap of Greenleaf Season 3, Episode 7. That was then. So, Gigi is looking at the crime files of the woman that killed her husband. They're gruesome. And so she started having flashbacks of her fight with Mac the night she killed him. And Sophia walks in and, you know, she stops, you know, what she's doing to talk to Sophia. And the lady at the church is still hounding Sophia to come back to teach the children. But of course, she's already said that she doesn't want to go back to the church. And so now she's asking Gigi if she could talk to the lady to let her know, like, you know, just, you know, back off. She's not coming, you know, she just needs some time. And Sophia basically reiterated that she's not going back to the church. So, it's, I don't know, it's early in the morning. It's Zora's birthday. It's her 18th birthday, right? So Mae walks in and Zora wakes up and she was all of a sudden like, it's my birthday, because like, she know what that means. Like, I don't have to listen to, she feels like she don't have to listen to me more because she still thinks that she got shit all figured out, right? So, even though she hasn't shown that yet, I'm just assuming, because you know I'm watching it as I record my reviews. So so Mae is getting, you know, hitting her up and, you know, wishing her happy birthday and the whole thing. Bishop, he goes to Charity's room, and you know, they talked for a little bit, and he told her that, oh well, you know, Jacob and Kerissa and everybody's gonna come over around. It's early in the morning because remember, at this point Zora still has a curfew, so she can't be out after a certain time, and I guess she can't even be out of her room after a certain time. And so Charity's like, they come over this early? And so Charity was like, that woman that never learned talking about Mae. And Bishop was like, well, will you? And then Charity was like, when are you moving out? And, you know, they sit down and talk for a minute, and he tells her how much he misses her. And, you know, she, you know, they have, I guess, what could be considered a touching father-daughter moment. But I'm like, I don't know. See, I don't really know how I feel about that, because I don't know if Bishop is trying to rally the troops so that when the shit hits the fan, he has people on his side. So I'm going to reserve my opinion for, you know, that little I miss you and da-da-da-da-da. Because he wasn't having any heart-to-hearts with Charity throughout all this stuff. You really haven't had anyone really sitting down and having any kind of heart-to-heart with Charity. After everything that she's gone through, even though Charity gets on my nerves, but now all of a sudden it's convenient you're walking into her room early in the morning to, you know, with this whole spiel. But again, we'll wait and see about that. So the party is going on. It is early as hell too, and Kerissa gives Zora an envelope. She opens it. It's Hamilton tickets for the following night. And Mae asked her about what time the show started. It was like 7 or something. It was basically after Zora's curfew. And so she basically told her, no, she can't go because she's on punishment. You know, what part of being on punishment is not being able to do things that you want to do. Hello, that's why it's called punishment. And so Kerissa turns to Jacob, and Jacob initially was like, well, Mom, I think you're being kind of harsh. And she basically was like, no, basically explained that whole thing. And Jacob was like, well, you know, I agree. And so now Carissa's pissed at him because he feels like now she's not, you know, it's gonna come up, he keeps taking his mother's side over her. Obviously Zora is disappointed because she wants to go to this play. And so, yeah, so now Mae's she's at the church at Calvary, and she's planning her a day with Lady Mae event. And so Karine is in there, and Maxine Patterson's assistant is also in there. So they're trying to coordinate with her about the venue and the whole thing. And they'd already had some whole book to have it, you know, just trying to put the finishing touches on the planning. And for whatever reason, Maxine Patterson's assistant suggested that why don't we just have it here at the church? And Karine had to say, oh, well, we can't. And Mae was like, why not? He said, because the bishop is having his Jubilee here around the time. She was like, since when? She said, oh, since a few days ago or a week ago or something. So he was, okay, so he was preemptive. He basically planned something around that same time at the church so that she wouldn't be there. Okay, so around this time, she basically said, well, this is gonna be a good idea. We're gonna have it at the church. And Karine was like, I'll break it to the bishop. She was like, Karine, what'd she say? Karine, don't overestimate the bishop's level of understanding around at this time. Or something she said, I'll talk to the bishop. And so Karine was like, oh, well, okay. My apologies. I don't know if she felt like Karine was overstepping or whatever the case, but so around this time, Gigi walks in, like, you called me? She ain't got no time. Cause after years of just dealing with bullshit from Mae, she just was like, okay, what now? So this time, Karine and Maxine's assistant, I really should learn her name. They left, and she started talking to Gigi about the event, and Gigi was like, well, I can't do something because we're helping with the lady's case who was basically facing the death penalty. And Mae was like, that you'd rather do that than deal with, you don't want to help me because you want to deal with some sordid woman that killed her husband in his sleep. But she was like, Mom, she's facing the death penalty. So if this is not a case for the church, basically if this is not a case for the church to be involved, then I don't know what is. And basically it was just a whole back and forth, just the usual thing. And I forget, Mae said something, they, went back and forth, and Gigi ends up leaving, and Mae is standing there. Like, she said, she started asking her about her relationship with Rochelle. And basically, Gigi, she hasn't said yet, but she said, I have my own reasons for working with Rochelle. She said, Mae, of course, was like out of spite and vindictiveness or something, she said. And she's like, oh, wow. And Gigi was like, wow, Mom, you really do know me. And Mae was like, and you don't know me at all. And so they parted ways just like that. I'm just like, Mae, girl. Mae goes to talk to Bishop about the event, and they end up getting onto a whole another topic. So she walks in, he's on the phone talking to Percy. And, as she walks in, he's like, oh, I'm gonna have to call you back. And of course, she was like, Rochelle? And he's like, no, that was Percy. He sends his love. And so she was talking to him about her interaction with Gigi and about this case. And he was basically like, that's her thing. Basically, he just was not going to even get involved in that. And then, he asked her to sit down, and she now looking at him like, what? He was, oh, please just have a seat. So she goes to sit down. And he's talking to her about their tax situation and saying that he thinks he may have found a way to get out of it. And she was like, you know what, this is your thing. He was like, Mae, your signature on those returns too. So he starts talking to her about Rochelle, and she starts talking to her about cryptocurrency. And she said, this has Rochelle all over it. He's like, well, no, she guaranteed if we make a large, initial investment, that we'll get a great return. She's looking at her like, of course, Mae's like, I ain't giving that half a shit to invest in mine. I know, right? She don't care she don't want nothing about it. And so she was basically telling him, like, there's something wrong with this lady. I just don't. And for whatever reason, you can't see what's, where she's concerned. It seems like you're just blind to it. And he said something to her, and then she quoted some scripture about an old fool who refused to seek counsel. And if nothing else, it seems like throughout their marriage, Mae has always been that counselor. Even though her hands has been dirty too, I don't think, Mae has never steered him wrong. But for whatever reason, I guess what their issue with what they have now, he's just determined that he's going to deal with Rochelle. And so he's telling her that he's already invested from his personal accounts and that he now wants to take money from their joint accounts to invest. And of course, man, babe is basically all but said, over my dead body, over my dead cold body, are you going to use my money to give to that heifer? I mean, that was just the gist of it. And she just sashayed on out in her that badass suit and her heels. That, if nothing else, made dress up asshole. And of course, the bishop is standing there like, okay, what are we going to do now? I'm hoping he don't forge her signature on whatever paperwork he needs to get to that money. And oh my God. Okay, so Gigi, she's at the jail, at the prison or jail, wherever they're holding this lady, Coralie, when they killed her husband. And the DA is there, the assistant DA is there. And he knows who she is, and he's trying to figure out why she's there. She said she's there to basically to talk to Coralie about her case and, you know, help with her case. And basically the DA was like, you know, she's not the victim here. There is no evidence that there's ever been any abuse, and she killed a man in his sleep using the same hammer that he had used earlier to hang a family photo, a portrait or something. And he's like, you know what, sometimes I hand cases off to other DAs if I'm too close to them. So he's basically saying to Gigi, I guess he's familiar with her case with Mac, and he thinks that her emotions are getting the best of her, that she can't see clearly about this case. And she basically just brushed him off, and then she basically was like, it sounds like you don't think that your case is secure. And so they basically parted ways, and she went to go sit and talk to the lady. And Coralie comes down, and of course she doesn't know Gigi, and so she's trying to figure out why she's there. She was like, the lady was like, you from some church? She was like, yeah. She said, well, I don't believe in Jesus, so why are you here? And Gigi explained to her, like, we've established a legal fund to help women in your situation, and you know, basically that's why I'm here. She said, Gigi, you know, was like, I was nearly sitting where you're sitting, and she was like, oh, Rhea, what happened? And basically she was like, well, let's talk about you, Gigi. She's been trying to rehash it, even though she's been having flashbacks of that night, almost like she suffered from some PTSD or something. And so she sits and they continue to talk. Kerissa and Jacob are back at Triumph, and they're walking in, and of course Kerissa is upset because she feels like Mae is being unreasonable. It's her birthday, and Kerissa is aware, okay, and she's talking to Jacob like, Zora is 18 years old. At this point, whatever she does now, legally, we have no grounds to stand on because technically she's seen as an adult. And so Kerissa feels like this whole thing is pushing Zora further and further away. And Jacob was like, well, you know, my mom is, you know, it's called discipline. He was like, yeah, it used to be something that you were all about. And her fear is that basically that Zora's gonna up and leave again, and she's never gonna see her daughter again. And so Jacob was like, well, my mother, she's a good mother, she's good at it or something. I guess discipline. And Kerissa was like, if she's such a good mother, then why did it take me nearly 20 years to get you to straighten out and fly right? And so Jacob just sat there with the stuck face, like, okay, you bringing up old shit. That's basically how his facial expression was. And Kerissa's like, I'm going to talk to her. And he was like, okay, fine. And she's like, I'm not asking for your permission. And so she walks out, and he's just sitting there like, oh, okay, Lord Jesus. So, conveniently, Charity is in her room, and she gets a call from Percy, of all people. Even she was confused, like, Percy, Daddy's friend? And he said, why are you calling me? Told you he's trying to rally the troops. He's gonna try to get as many of them on his side as he can. So he was basically telling her that there's a funeral. He has a funeral going on because, you know, he owns a funeral home, and the singer that they had dropped out, and he wanted to know if she would fill in. And Charity was like, well, you know, I'm not really filling up to it right now. And he was like, okay. Well, the only thing I have is like some organ music and Spotify something. You know, she started laughing, so you already know that she's gonna go ahead and sing, because I mean that's her passion. That's what she does. So all right, the bishop is being crafty. I just have a feeling. I have a feeling he's all over that. You would just happen to be talking to Percy earlier in the day, and now he's calling Charity out of the blue. I ain't buying it. Gigi is still at the prison talking to Coralie, and Coralie kind of briefly recounts what happened that night. He was drunk. He was being abusive to her. He initially had her pinned down, and she was like, if I didn't do something, I would have been the one dead, the whole thing. And so she brought up the kids, and Gigi asked how he abused the kids too. She was like, no, but he would threaten them to abuse them in order to get me to do what he wanted me to do. And so, of course, the bail, whatever, something happened, the bailiff comes over and was like, okay, time's up. They say their goodbyes, and Gigi basically said, I'll be in touch. And she's like, okay, will you? Because she's, I mean, like I said, she's not a believer. So she's like, okay, you know, whatever. I guess she figures that if she shows up, then she does. If she does, then she doesn't. Charity took Percy up on his offer, and so now she's at the service. She sung her little song, and of course she did what she did, sang the place down. And Karine walks into the bishop's office with some paperwork he needs her to sign. And so he signs off one, then he looks at it, and he's like, what's this, something security or something? And Corey was like, yeah, it's for Lady Mae's event. He was like, it's gonna need security? And I guess that's when he saw that it's gonna be at Calvary. And so, of course, he storms into Mae's office and like, what is this with security? And you think you're gonna need that much? And she was like, well, with Maxine being a part of it, it's gonna cost a little more than normal. He was like, well, let her pay for it. Let her rent out the FedEx Forum or FedEx Field or something. And he said that, and when were you going to tell me there was going to be a Calvary? And she said, well, I only just got the deposit back from the other place. And he know her. He's like, no, you was planning on doing this the whole time. And she was like, oh yeah, and speaking of that, when were you going to tell me about your little Jubilee celebration that I only just found out about? And so he, Gloria, I think that's Maxine's assistant's name. She walks in and said, well, we have people in the conference room, I guess, for to sit down and go over. Now they have to, they've changed the venue, so now they got a lot of work to do to move some stuff around. And so she's like, oh, okay, so she leaves. And the bishop was like, you just need to remember what we agreed on. And she was like, and what was that? That after this, you're gone. And he said, and she looked at him and basically was like, I'm going to go where the Lord leads me. And I'm assuming you're going to do the same. And so he walks out, and she stood there, you know, with a smug look on her face like she does. And so he's back in his office, and who walks in? Rochelle. And Rochelle, and he hands her a check, and she was like, oh, you found more money. He didn't want to sit there join the council, pull their damn money out. Oh God, okay. Until he's all telling Rochelle, well, you know, I trust you, and the whole thing, and she's, you know, being her whole two-faced snake in the grass ass, like, oh, well, you know, I'm just so honored and thank you, and whatever crap she was saying to him to stroke his ego. And so we've been flashed to Jacob. So once again, Tasha's put some stuff in front of him. He's signing off on it, hands it to her, and she could tell something's wrong. And so initially he didn't want to say anything, which he should have followed his first mind, not to say shit to Tasha, Skanks. And he decides to go in, and he said, you ever feel like people won't let you be who you're trying to be? You'll be the new you or something. And so they started talking, and she was like, yeah, you know, I wasn't always that, you know, the saved person. And, you know, I'm not gonna sit and act like I wasn't that girl who was twirling all hours of the night and would come into church on Sunday morning, half eyes open, praying that people would think I was praying. And so he said, yeah, I just feel like, that's how I feel. I feel like Kerissa won't let me, you know, I feel like she's forgiven me, but she'll never forget. Of course she'll never forget. And she'll never let me forget. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, you fucking around on a woman for 20 years or however long. Like, I mean, she said it took me 20 years to get you to straighten up and fly right. It's like, damn, she's been battling with you for that long, Jacob? Okay, and so Tasha goes in to hug him, and then they start kissing, and I'm just like, did you just not prove Kerissa's point? Like, why she doesn't trust your ass? Like, seriously? So Gigi's back in her office with Darius, and he's going over the file, and he was, just asking her, like, so what, you don't believe her? And she's like, yeah, it rings true, but I think the DA is going to use what happened to me against her. He all but said it. And he said, but that was self-defense too. I mean, it was tragic, but it was still self-defense. And so she's flashing back on the night, and she had stabbed him, and he was asking her to call down 911, but she was like, where's my daughter? So she's thinking back on it, and Darius still asking her, so it was self-defense? And I'm thinking to myself, bitch, don't tell him shit. You got off. Mac was a piece of crap. Don't say shit. And she was like, yeah, it was self-defense. I'm like, okay. Because I'm like, girl, it's still there. Oh, don't tell him. Don't ever tell anybody about that night. Girl, you have to take that to your grave, Gigi. Just shut up about it, okay? So Jacob is on his way home, and of course he's in the car now, trying to make sure there are no remnants of Tasha on his face. So he's making sure she doesn't have any lipstick and the whole nine. As soon as he gets in the house, he goes and takes a shower. Kerissa's sitting on the couch. They have a little, tete-a-tete, and she apologized for what she said earlier. They bumped uglies. Okay, whatever. So, Gloria and Karine came into Mae's office talking about the caterer. The caterer needs a deposit right away because of the size of the event. They need the money now. And so you can tell Karine is not fond of Gloria. Gloria just seems very pushy, and she doesn't realize that this is not your church. You're a visitor. Okay? Yeah, I understand that Maxine's going to be a part of it, but this is still, you're still on Mae's Greenleaf. You're still on Greenleaf's territory, so kind of simmer down a little bit. Okay? But so Mae was like, oh, and they was like, oh, the bishop already left. She said, okay, let me go to my account and I'll write a check and I'll just have the church reimburse me. So she goes in, and by her facial expression, that check that he gave Rochelle came from that account. So she basically was like, let me figure some things out, and I'll let you guys know. And Gloria was like, well, they really need to, and she had to say, Gloria, if you and Karine would leave me to figure this out, I'll get back to you. And so she sashayed on out. I'm like, Gloria, bitch. And so the next thing you see is Mae confronting Bishop. And she said, you cleaned out? He didn't take some money. He took all of the money out of their joint account. And he's talking to her about, oh, we should get it. We should see it back plus some in 2 weeks and the whole nine. And she basically said, I want you to leave. I want you out of this house. And he said he already knew what was coming. So he said, I already made arrangements. I'm going to stay with Percy. And she said, this time, take it all. All your robes, all your gaudy knickknacks, every tie. I want you gone. And so he looked at her and took his little drink. He said, as you wish, dear. And so he left. And he showed up on Percy's doorstep looking all pitiful and ridiculous. Percy, of course, took him in. And it was just a somber moment. But Bishop, you kind of brought it on yourself, okay? So Sophia's having some type of breakdown. She's in the bathroom and she's pulling pages out of the Bible and throwing it in the garbage, and she's crying. And Gigi walks in and she tries to get the Bible from her, and she's trying to console her, and she was like, everything in the Bible is a lie, and it's just, she's going through it, and it is so sad to watch. And Gigi's trying to, comfort her and console her, and she's like, baby, you feel however you feel, and you have to, if you want to cry, just cry, but this is real. And she's talking about the Bible, and he loves you, and she embraces her, and she's just, that is heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking to watch. It's really sad. Okay, so as I thought, so they've come to the realization that Sophia won't be going back to the church. And we're back a little bit. I think I'm not exactly sure what Kerissa and Jacob has going on or planned. I guess they was planning some family time out or something. I don't know. But she, was very appreciative of thanking him for, maybe he was taking the boy to the church with him. I don't know. But she was thanking him. She's very appreciative. He said, oh, you have to thank me and the whole nine. So you see Jacob saying they're feeling like shit for what he did, right? And Gigi, she goes to the church, goes to the jail, and the lady was like, I didn't think I would see you again. And so she was like, I'm here to bail you out. And said, so you should have faith. She was like, Coralie was like, I already told you that I don't really believe in that. And so I'm going to reserve my opinion for Coralie. I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know if I really believed her that things happened the way they did. I don't know. But so Mae goes into Zora's room, and she talks to her about taking over for Sophia. And so she's running back and forth, pulling stuff out of the closet. She was like, she can't decide what to wear. Oh, maybe she was, maybe they were planning some trip with some outing with her parents or something. I don't know. She's like, you can't decide what to wear, and she's pulling stuff out of the closet. She's like, no, not really. And she was like, she talked to her about taking over. She was like, no, that's a no for me. And so, it was like, excuse me. She was like, I'm not good with kids. And so she's really trying to talk to her about taking over, and she was like, well, anyway, I can't. And she's like, why is that? Because I'm 18 now. I'm leaving. And so she pulls the suitcase out and started balling some stuff up and throwing it in there. She said, and when is this little grand escape going to take place? She was like, in about 10 minutes. And so she grabs her bag, her suitcase, and she sashays on out of the room. And so now Mae is standing there like, she is upset. She said, I don't even know what. She's probably thinking to herself, okay, my marriage gonna fail, and then I'm trying to help this kid. But Zora, I don't even think that it would have mattered really what Mae would have said or done. Zora is one of those people that has to learn shit the hard way. She's that's just how Zora strikes me. So it wouldn't have mattered if she was at home with her parents, or she was at her grandparents' house. It doesn't matter where Zora was. Zora is just one of those people who has to burn their hand to know that the eye is hot. She's one of those people that have to fall on their ass, they have to fall on their face before they, realize that shit is not what you really think it is. And she's young, and like with most of us, life happens. You pay now, you pay later, but you always pay. So I'm going to, that's basically how the episode ended. So I'm going to end this here, and I will talk to you guys in the next episode.